What's up, guys? On this week's episode, we sit down with Antje of RCL Mechanical. She is the marketing director here at RCL Mechanical here in Taunton. We sat down with her. We talk about her life in Germany, how she moved here, how she works at the casinos, and now being such a global phenomenon, a global phenomenon in the marketing world. You know, not in our world, but in the marketing world. You've moved boulders, rocks, mountains. You've done it all in the marketing world. And this, no, I'll say it. I don't care. But you've hit on a lot of spots, and this has been such an excellent episode. Also, side note, first woman on the podcast episode. So, yeah. Great job. So,
I'm honored to be your first.
Thank you. No, we're honored to have you. So, you got. Like we always say, you're not gonna want to miss this episode.
You don't.
No, it's definitely moving. I definitely tried to hold back a few tears because it was like so motivating. So, yeah, guys, tune in right now. Too legit. Backtrack. What is up, guys? Tiago here, Alex, and this is the Too Legit podcast. On today's episode, we have a very special guest. I'm going to butcher the fuck out of your name right now. Just saying.
I dare you. I dare you.
Right, so, I think I called her, like, Antje. I think I started calling you Antje. I'm like, that's definitely not a name. So, and then other people started saying, is it... Go ahead, say it. I always butcher. I'm so sorry.
So this is what my mom calls me.
Okay.
It's Antje.
Antje.
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's spelled Antje.
Antje.
Is the J silent? Like, what the hell?
Well, it depends on if you ask an American or a German.
Well,
it's the yeah. It's
yeah.
the Deutsch, you know.
So you're Portuguese, but are you anything else?
No, I am born and raised German.
Oh. So you're not Portuguese?
No, I am not Portuguese.
I thought because you was like, oh, I know how to say it in like Portuguese. Oh, so
and
like,
that was a joke.
Damn, I'm a fucking motherfucking guy. So
great research, Tiago.
Yeah, Tiago clearly does his research.
Yeah, horrible
absolutely.
research. So, were you born here or were you born in Germany?
I was born and raised in Germany.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, no shit.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, this is actually a huge milestone for us.
Is it the first female guest on your podcast? I was
first
like,
female guest, you know, congrats.
Nice.
Yeah, that's big. That's huge.
You guys needed to hit that quota, though, I assume, right?
We had too much testosterone.
Yeah.
We gotta do it now. So you were born and raised in Germany.
Yes.
What part of Germany?
It's about 45 minutes away from Frankfurt. It's closer to the French border. Not sure if you guys ever heard of Ramstein Air Base, the largest U.S. Air Force base outside the States.
No kidding.
That's where I'm from.
Oh.
Yeah. A small town called Kaiserslautern.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. So if you talk to people, they know K-Town or they talk about Ramstein. So my husband was in the military for 20 years. I was a military spouse.
Yeah.
So and he is from Massachusetts. So after he retired, we moved back here. But I've been coming here for, oh my God, over 20 years now.
So when did you first come to?
So I officially floated on the raft over, in 2006.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
you've been here for quite a while.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a green card holder.
It's okay.
I got my.
It's perfectly fine.
They haven't kicked me out just yet, so knock on wood. No, but I immigrated in 2006, but due to my husband's military career, we moved back and forth, overseas. We were actually officially in Germany until 2016. So, and that's when we moved back to the States for a second time. And then he's been retired since 2020, and I've been living in Massachusetts since then. So there's a lot going on with that accent.
Yeah. So, we currently work together at
Yes.
RCL. I work on the field where you actually work behind the scenes.
Yes, I
So
do.
you're the, let me see if I get this one right. the marketing director.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
so I got that one there. Yay! Yay!
That's huge for you.
That's big. That's big. That's big. So you're the marketing director here. I'm on the field. I'm just a plumber. You know, I just
Yeah.
play with pipes all day.
No, you're not just a plumber. You're bread and butter. You're,
I'm the reason why people make money. Anyways,
no shit.
so kind of walk me through like the day to day, because not a lot of people really understand like the office aspects of like construction or like trades companies, because it's a whole different thing.
Absolutely.
So
Sure. So what do I do? So I can say like no day is different than marketing, you know? So my typical day is when I come in, you know, it's like you sit behind your desk, you open up your emails, you see what's the latest and greatest, see if there's anything that Mark wants me, you know, to take care of right away. Usually I look over the data. I deal with a lot of data every day. Marketing has become very data driven, you know, with IT, social media, you have email marketing, you have all these different, we call it lead generation, all these different channels. We have Angie's, we have Google LSA, Google My Business, Thumbtack, like all these different things. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking, you know, at the revenue. I'm looking at the sales. Kind of like look over the call, see what's coming in. I gather some, you know, some data together for our daily huddles that we have. And then it depends on, you know, some days I go out in the field. I had
in the latest episode, you actually went to the
we went
islands.
to Nantucket, and we can talk about this a little
Yeah.
bit. So those are my favorite days, obviously. You know, when I
filming
can,
days.
yes, when I can go out, talk to the guys. That's when I learn a lot because I do not come originally from the service industry. And then, you know, do social media posts. I have meetings with various vendors. For example, you know, CB Disco if we need new merch, or I have a meeting with my SEO company to go over some strategies. Email marketing, I have a company that I work with. So, and then it's just it depends, you know. It's
So
always go.
Every
go.
day is different though.
Every day is different,
That's
and
really nice.
that's the good part. That's what I love
It's
about
not
my
like
job.
you're standing in front of a computer all day just responding to emails,
Yeah.
and that's like all you do.
Yes.
At least you're like out of like your office space. Sometimes you can actually go to these places.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Also, big shout out to you for the whole social media posts. You've been killing it. You've been
Thank you.
killing it.
I appreciate it.
You
It's a
gotta
team
come.
effort.
You gotta come to Riverside. You stop recording me.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. Like if I had, oh my God, if I had like a magic wand, I would be like, oh no.
I would
Every
just
day,
clone
all
yourself.
the, yes.
Now, the big thing about social media nowadays, it's so essential in businesses.
Mm-hmm.
How has I know that RCL and social media is like huge.
Yes.
Because I feel like businesses nowadays, a lot of the revenue comes from social media.
Mhm.
Can you dive into that a little bit? Like,
Yeah.
like, I guess the question would be like, how can you make revenue off that? You know, just like say if you had like nothing, and then like
Yeah.
you know work towards that.
Yeah. So that's an excellent question. It depends on there's so, you know, I could like dive deep into this, but what a lot of people don't understand is depending on your company, you have a certain market, you have a certain target market. So you need to make sure that the people that you reach out to on social media are actually the people that you want to reach out to. So for us, for RCL Mechanical, you know, from a service department point of view, we want to get to homeowners. We want to get to people that own a house, that have, you know, the money to, you know, afford our services, the equipment. So our largest audience is actually on Instagram and some on Facebook. But then from a commercial point of view, like the general contractors, you know, like the vendors and all them, they're on LinkedIn. So when I post something, I have to adjust for every single channel. You know, we also have YouTube, we also have TikTok, but I'm not going to post everything I post on Instagram on TikTok or on YouTube. So this is something we actually have worked on the last couple of months to really dial in and pinpoint what makes sense on which channel, because you could post everywhere all day long, but you know, if you don't reach the audience, I always say the juice ain't worth the squeeze. You know, you need to make sure you reach the right audience. And so we also do social media ads. So on Facebook, you can set all the parameters, who you market it to. It's the same thing on Instagram, same thing on LinkedIn. So I think that's kind of like that, where the magic juice comes in, to know what your audience wants. And then you also have to entertain your audience. You have to educate them. User generated content is a big thing. You want to keep people checking in, but not also your customers, but also recruitment is a huge part for us on RCL. And thankfully, and I think this is what sets us apart, and where I'm so thankful for Mark and Rich, both of them have that personality. Like, they're the face of the company, and it's like that reoccurring. And people, when we have like job interviews with candidates, they always are like, we're like, how do you hear about us? Oh, I saw you guys on social media. You guys have great social media. So when I started here about a year ago, we had a good base, and we work with Told by Fire Media.
Shout out to Pat Quinn.
Absolutely, PQ. If you haven't, interviewed him, you absolutely need to have him on your podcast.
We're gonna get him on.
Yes.
We're gonna get him on.
Yes.
We're going to clip this and send it to him.
Yes, I will make that happen for you guys if I need to. So they're a huge support, but that's the thing. You need to have the right people with you to make that happen.
It definitely takes, like, I'd say, like a village to make a company
Absolutely.
successful. And interviewing Mark that we did earlier on in our podcasting careers, and then recently interviewing Rich, and just knowing the guys too. And for the short time that Alex met those guys, you could definitely tell, like, they're just a different breed.
Yes.
They really are. They really care about their workers, and they actually, like, really care about what they produce out there. So big kudos to them. You told me a story.
Yes.
Before you came to RCL, I'm going to butcher this again.
Yeah.
Before you came to RCL, you said you worked in casinos?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I cannot wait to hear about this. I love and hate casinos. You want to know why? Because I love it because, like, the thrill.
Yes.
But I hate it because it takes all my fucking money.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell you what, before I start diving into stories, the longer I worked at casinos, the less I had, the urge to gamble.
Yeah.
Because I know, I know what's going on behind the scenes. But so yeah, I worked in the casino industry for 6-7 years. That's actually how I started my quote unquote professional marketing career.
Gotcha.
After we moved back from Germany, my husband got stationed at Keesler Air Force Base. So we lived near Biloxi. And I don't know if you guys know, but Biloxi is kind of like an Atlantic City of the Gulf Coast. So
I failed in geography in high school, so all these cities is like
Mississippi, right?
Mississippi, yes.
Yeah, see, this is why I got
him. You guys, Hurricane Katrina, all that.
Yep.
So there's like a running joke down there. It's so Mississippi is the landmass between Louisiana and Florida where Hurricane Katrina hit. So
Yep.
they were impacted. They were almost ground zero back in 2005 when the hurricane hit down there. So one of their biggest economic drivers is casino, I worked at the second largest casino operation on the Mississippi Gulf Coast called the IP Casino Resort and Spa. I was the supervisor for giveaway and promotions over there, and I was running, kind of like that marketing department with my tag team partner, with the manager over there, who to this day is basically my mentor, my guiding light, and one of my best friends. I have to thank a lot this woman,
you give her a shout out right now if you want
absolutely.
to.
So her name is Nicole. She is, I'm putting like a shameless plug in here. She's a huge vlogger down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. If you want to know more, check out Gulf Coast Gal on YouTube. Subscribe to her channel. She's absolutely amazing. You just need to have that woman in your life. She's funny. If you think I'm funny, she's hilarious. So anyway, yeah. So she opened up that door for me to to become part of that industry, and the hospitality industry, man, is a different
It's
horse.
a different breed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I worked in
You worked in restaurants,
I worked
right?
in restaurants, so the hospitality is like
It's crazy. And
it
then you
is.
add that Southern hospitality on top. Like Southern hospitality is a thing. So that's why I
Yeah,
got
we don't have
all
any of that
my
mess.
yeah.
We got none of that shit in
No,
Massachusetts.
but it's what I learned down there, I can now use here to train our CSRs how to be like, to elevate our customer service. But yeah, so that's how I started in the casino industry. And
Backtracking what you said
Yeah.
about Nicole, that she was a mentor. How
Yeah.
important is it when you start your career to find a mentor and like try to like guide you into the right direction?
You need to have a mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something, no matter if you've just started out in your career, if you've been, working for 25 years, you need to find somebody that you can, reach out to, or somebody, that can help you, guide you. So there's always somebody that has more experience than you, that sees things from a different point of view. I was just very fortunate to have had incredible leadership, not just her, also her boss. So our director at the time was amazing. So I always say, like, I got very spoiled early on in my career to have had such fabulous leadership, because now everything that I learned, all the basics that were instilled in me from day one working in the marketing field, I can now, as being a director now myself, and training other people and managing other people, I can now give, like, pay it forward, what I learned.
Yeah.
So
That's honestly the best thing that anybody can do nowadays, just paying it forward.
Yeah.
And well, I was gonna ask, have you ever worked like on the floor? Or is
Yes.
it just strictly marketing that you did?
Yeah,
all the time?
so this was the best thing about my job. It was so versatile, and we did everything. So we came up with ideas for promotions and giveaways. Casinos give away cars and literally pots and pans.
Yeah, I
And
haven't won shit.
so it's for customer retention. For example, we had 12 casinos in our immediate neighborhood, so a lot of competition. So you need to make sure that the customers go to your casino, because everybody else has the same slot machines. They all have the poker room. They have the blackjack tables. So what sets you apart is how you promote your casino.
Yeah.
So I used to give away like Mercedes and Jaguars on the weekends. We had gift giveaways. We had events for our highest rated players. So I was on the weekends constantly on the microphone, constantly entertaining people, and we had drawings, So it was that's why I have like, when you do this every single day for years and years, I know I have an accent. I know I sound funny sometimes. I don't use the right words all the time, but you kind of like get over it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's the same thing when you start plumbing pipes, put stuff together. You don't think about it, you just do it.
You just do it.
You
yeah.
just do your
People say I
job.
have an accent. I don't know what it is though. Like, I'm being serious. Like,
Yeah,
I'm,
it's like a little bit of German. It's that Bostonian. Then when I lived down in Mississippi, they're all like, "Are you from New Orleans?" And I'm like, "No," but it's that Cajun, that European French that comes in. Yeah, so yeah, can't help it.
So working on the floor.
Yeah.
Because I feel I've been to casinos.
Yes.
Obviously. And I've been like, I've walked around and I've been next to people, or I'll go to the tables.
Mhm.
And the weird thing is, I'll try to like spark a conversation. Sometimes it's good, other times it's like really bad.
Mhm.
So like most of the time I go to Foxwoods Casino, and I'll sit in the slot machines, and like, an old lady or like, a younger guy will sit next to me. We'll kind of chat. The old guy would tell me, yeah, I'm down with like $1,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty normal.
Oh, you have.
But
Yeah.
the thing would be, like, one time I think I was playing blackjack at a table, and this older lady came next to me, and we started conversing. She asked me, oh, how bad are you down? And I'm like, oh, I'm not bad, because I'm not a risk taker. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very mellow out when I play. I put $1 on the slots, and I just hope I hit the jackpot.
Yes.
Just straight luck. And I was like, yeah, I'm down like $200 right now, which isn't bad. And she was like, yeah, I'm down 40 grand. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
For today.
And that's the crazy part.
It is
How, we'll dive into like your
Yeah.
craziest stories, but how can people have that mindset of just like it's okay to be down $40,000?
So I feel like, and this is kind of like also, the shadow side, I guess, of the casinos. And you have it, addiction is, they're
definitely not good.
addicted to
Yeah.
gambling. So the casinos they legally need to have a lot of things in place, to deal with addiction. And people have the choice, to opt out or to be excluded. We call it 86th in the industry.
Yeah.
To be excluded from the casinos. But yeah, I have, and some people that's their entire life, and that's then again on the flip side, that's the good stuff. So, and also because I worked in casinos in Mississippi and also in Massachusetts when I first started coming back, I worked at Plain Ridge. Completely different audience, completely different market. And that's something that a lot of people also don't realize, that a casino is not a casino. Like a casino promotion in Las Vegas looks different than a Plain Ridge, looks different than in Atlantic City, or down in Mississippi.
Yeah.
But to answer your question is, so for example, you have people who just don't care about money.
And honestly, screw those people.
And I have
screw those people, man. Must be nice.
So my first car I started as a part-time promotions coordinator at the IP. And I remember my first car giveaway was I gave away 2 Acuras. So we used to give a car away on Friday and one on Saturday. And I was so excited. It was my first time, we were doing the drawing. And so in my mind, if you think, okay, me as Alex or Tiago, how would I react if I won a car? You would probably flip your shit, right?
No. Not. I mean, it's nice. It's a free car, but not for an Acura. I'd probably resell it. Honestly.
No, but to win.
But
like if
today,
you win,
hell yeah, I would take the car. Like
Yeah.
if this was me, like at 20, 21, I'd be like, I would have been like, yeah.
Yeah.
But me now, like I can't do shit in an Acura.
I mean like just the fact of winning a car.
If you were like, oh, like, hey, we have a GMC Duramax on sale, we're gonna sell on the floor. Take all my money. I don't care. I'd sign my life away.
So I mean for a lot of people, it's like getting something because they put the money out there. So anyway, we gave away this Acura, and how it usually worked is we drew. So you had to play on slot machines, and by playing, you earned tickets that go into a virtual drum, and then we had a drawing program, and then for the final round, we called 5 people, and then they all stood on the casino floor, and we had like fish bowls or some kind of things that had winner or loser on the other end. So this guy turns the thing around and he won the Acura, and he was like, cool. Like that was his reaction. I was so disappointed because I felt like he stole my virginity or something like that, because there was absolutely no emotion in him. And so we gave the option at the IP. You could either take the car or take the cash equivalent, or you could take what we called slot dollars. So it's like Monopoly money, basically. Like you have your player's card, and we upload like, I don't know, whatever the car is worth, $35,000 in slot dollars on your card, and then you can use it and play at the machines.
Yeah.
And you have to play that money, and whatever you win, you can cash out, but you can't cash out 35,000 if that makes sense.
So they can't take the money from the car.
No,
and
they
then
have
cash
to.
out. So it's pretty much playing with the house's money,
Yes.
but you can't take it home.
It's like Monopoly money, right?
Yeah.
So let's call him David. And I said, Mr. David, so these are your options. And this man looks at me, and I said, well, are you taking the car? These are the 3 options. And he looks at me and he says, honey, I just bought me and my wife 2 matching AMG Mercedes. I ain't need no Acura. And I'm like, well, that's great news. Are we doing the cash? He's like, nah, I got money. I don't care about the money. And so I said, so what do you do? He's like, you know what? Just put the 35 grand in Monopoly money on my card.
This guy's a selfish prick.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's a nice guy, but that's like as first time I was like, what? To
Like you felt
have
disappointed.
that
Yeah.
luxury in your life to say, nah, I don't care about 35
Couldn't you
grand.
couldn't you just like re-roll again? Like, couldn't you just give it to somebody else?
No. The gaming commission would have had something to say
Sorry, you
about
have
that.
a shitty attitude. We're gonna give it to you.
Like that would be, like if I was in that and then this guy won it, but he's like, oh, I have this, I have that, I have money. I don't want it, but like, can't you just give it to the next guy?
No, he
Yeah.
wanted the 35 grand of Monopoly money,
Jesus.
so he continued playing. Yeah.
That's a high.
But
addiction.
here's the thing. So, for example, Pierre, I don't know, say he won like 18 grand in real money, right? Out of those 35. The money goes straight back. Like next weekend, he's going to play that
He's gonna
real
play,
money.
probably
Yeah.
drop another $20,000.
I had one time a woman won a Jaguar, and she was so happy, and she said, I have $40 in my debit account right now. And we're like, oh, and she's like, oh,
so
thank
sad.
God, thank God. Well, you would think, okay, the woman, won a car.
Thank God she can't
or
even pay for
can
the
take
gas on the car.
cash. She took the cash.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks later, I mean, she kept showing up at the casino, so the money went straight back. It's amazing. It's a different breed of people. Some people, I had an older gentleman. He was in his high 80s. He was sweet as pie, and he lost his wife a couple years prior. Like just of old age, and he lived by himself. And he was a sweet guy. He was there every day. He played his blackjack at the same seat, same table. And I was amazed of how many regulars we had. We had snowbirds, obviously, because we lived in the South, but we had also people, that came just to the casino every single day. And he won a car one time too. And his daughter, who was an adult in her 40s or 50s, she was there the night her father had won the car. And we chatted after he actually took the car. And we chatted with her, and she said to us, she's like, I'm so thankful for this casino because you guys take such good care of my father. I don't have to worry about him because I know when he is there, he's taken care of. All the table dealers know him, the promotions teams, everybody knows him, the servers. So it's kind of like a casino family, and everybody has like their little posse. So that's the positive things that I wasn't aware of what's going on. So of course, we give him shelter. He sits in a air-conditioned room. Yeah, he spends all his money, but he knows it. He's like, I have all this money. Yeah, I don't need it. He is safe.
Yeah.
So, so on that end, that's a good thing.
That's like, I guess, like the most positive story I've ever heard coming out of a casino.
Yeah.
Like someone saying, "Thank you for taking care of my dad."
Yeah.
It's kind of weird when you think about it at first,
Yes,
but then like when
absolutely.
you actually hear the backstory, it's kind of like, oh, because
Yeah.
that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, like I had people in, like, there was this one gentleman, he was in a wheelchair. He couldn't walk. He had problems like moving, and he's like, there is nothing else I can do. I entertain myself by, playing on a slot machine.
Yeah.
Old veteran. So it's stories like that where that's what makes it like that what drives you, to entertain these people, like on the good side. So
What's been the most you ever seen somebody lose in, like, I guess I'll say one night, one day,
lose.
or like down bad, like they're in the negatives, like for at least 30 years because they probably have to remortgage their house or something.
6-7 digits. That's
No way. That's insane.
I had one gentleman who owns a popular chain, like a restaurant chain in Florida. He came a couple weekends during the month. He played blackjack 3 to 4 days straight, with $5,000 minimum per hand.
That's insane. Like I don't understand
money
how
is
people.
not. You
like,
lose the value of money working at a casino.
You lose the value of money when you're rich. I think that's what it is. When you have so much money, where it's like, if I lose it, I can always get it back. Blah blah blah.
And you have, and the sad part is, Some people that are really addicted to gambling and cannot afford that. They play their 401ks. They play their life.
It's scary.
It's insane.
It's really scary.
Yes.
That's why the helpline's always there, you know?
Yeah.
And the cool thing about casinos is with helping with gambling addiction, this is something I heard. You guys can, like, you know, if they come into the casino, you guys can, like, actually, like, kick, not kick them out, but,
Yeah,
like,
you have. So it's so the thing is,
you know what I'm saying?
yes, absolutely. So there is, so you have the eye in the sky, you know, like that's one of the most or more popular known things that are happening when you walk in a casino.
Yep.
But I can exactly tell you who is walking in where. I know without even, Rich asked me actually if it's worth getting a player's card. So, and from my professional opinion, if you step foot in a casino and you plan on playing, whether it's a cent or $1,000, you go to the Players Club and you get yourself a free card because they know what you're doing. They know when you scratch your ass. You know what I mean? So might as well take advantage of the perks that you get from their loyalty program. So absolutely. So they know, like, I had to do a lot of investigative work with like customer complaints or when they say, you know, we didn't draw right, or there were always things come up. Like, I know exactly where you play, when you play, how much you played, what you were wearing, what you were doing. Like, I could trace exactly everybody's steps. So
I was at the casino a little while back, and I wasn't even like paying attention. I was playing virtual blackjack. I was not even paying attention. I've hit blackjack 3 times in a row. I had no idea. I'm looking up, and I'm just seeing all the cameras. I'm like, there's no chance in hell. 1, anybody can cheat. 2, walk out with like any type of money. There's like no, because
can't.
It's literally Fort Knox on steroids, like. Guantanamo Bay. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And also in places you wouldn't expect, like in the elevators and
cameras everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, where it's legal to have cameras.
Yeah, you can't have it in the bathroom, unfortunately.
So we had a spa attached to our resort, and obviously, you know, like in the bathrooms or, you know, in like any where people are unclothed, you don't have
of course
cameras. But our security guards, they were called into the spa quite frequently for indecent behavior.
Damn.
And more so on, you know, same gender indecent behavior, if you get my drift. You know. So yes, that happened.
We'll have to go down that rabbit hole.
That happened quite frequently. So if you don't have a camera, you have people that are watching.
You're being watched 24/7. It's pretty much the CIA, FBI, IRS,
and you have, and on top of that, you have the gaming commission who's undercover, who walks the floor. So
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know, like, you guys are sneaky.
Absolutely. Oh, it's not. So we have to be very compliant. Like when people are, everything is rigged. Believe me, it's not. There is no chance in hell that anything is rigged.
So say if I won 10 hands in a row in like Texas Hold'em or something like that, would you guys get suspicious or no? Like I was like,
you would definitely draw some attention to yourself. Yeah, but we have pit bosses too.
Yeah,
I'm still talking about like I work at a casino. But we have pit bosses that keep an eye on that, and then you constantly. But yeah, everything is under surveillance.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say with all the cameras, right? It's like, there has to be more than one person watching all that. So the pit boss is kind of one of the ways the pit
boss is on the ground.
Yeah,
yes.
So
but the eye in the sky, that's like a whole... So if you ever worked in surveillance at a casino, you are not allowed to work in any other position at that particular casino, for example. Because surveillance knows things that we don't even know. Like they are that's like special ops. That's like a complete... a lot of times you don't know who works in surveillance because they wear civilian clothes. You don't. It's really like your black ops in the military. It is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It makes sense though, because that's the whole business model, right? Yep. People come in, they spend their money, so you got to make sure you're watching the people that are in there, because it's you know,
counting cards is illegal. Whether or not you do it. So
right.
I think back about what movie was it? Hangover, the first one. I just think about Zach Galifianakis.
Yes, with the thinking.
And then it was like, and then I'm like, my dumbass decided to get a book on how to like
How to
how
count
to how to
cards.
not just count cards, but just how to like become like a great love. It was really like it's like those stupid like books like how stupid people can like become pros at like
Oh, the
blackjack.
blackjack for dummies and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, exactly. So perfect book for me.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it just like Zach Galifianakis, like in the movie. I'm like, I I was so dumb and stupid back in the day. I'm like, yeah, like I could do this. Yeah, started playing blackjack, and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm down like $500. I'm like, I can't do this. I cannot do this.
It looked so easy.
It looks so easy in the movies, but it's really not. So you started marketing in casinos. You
Yeah.
were very successful in it, and then when did you decide to make the switch and started venturing off into different marketings for different businesses? Because it's virtually it's still the same.
Well, it
Marketing's
doesn't. Yeah, it's like marketing is marketing. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter whether you sell mini splits or give away accurates for a living.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, I don't. I mean, I could technically have giveaways to give away mini splits, but I don't entertain hundreds of people on the weekends. But the switch, well, it was my biggest impact in my casino career was COVID. Obviously.
because that was a huge thing.
That was COVID ripped me a new one and a half.
It ripped everybody a new one.
Oh, it was.
Even down south, it was sort of severe down south.
Oh, they closed. So they shut down the casinos. It was March 13th. And they so I worked. The IP belongs for a company called Boyd Gaming, and they had to furlough 25,000 people. Like they furloughed every single person from the janitor all the way up to the GMs.
That's wild.
It was it was
crazy.
a wild time. Absolutely.
So, you pretty much stopped working at casinos the COVID year.
COVID, we all got furloughed. And there was a lot happening at the time, but as coincidence wanted, my husband was also retiring from the military
Yeah.
during the pandemic because that is what one does.
Yeah. Perfect timing.
It was perfect timing. And when we moved to Mississippi, we bought a house and we wanted to keep the option open of staying down there.
Yep.
So when we first moved down there, we flew before we moved to Mississippi. We knew we wanted to buy a house, so we flew down there, me and my husband, for a week to go house hunting, and I immediately fell in love with the area.
Of course.
If you haven't, they call it the Secret Coast, and they call it the Secret Coast for a reason. It is such a beautiful place. You wouldn't, if you think about Mississippi, you think about, I don't know, heat, humidity,
Hillbillies.
A lot of
cotton fields,
Yeah.
like good old Southern food, but you don't think about palm trees and beaches and casinos.
Yeah.
But yeah, we lived right in between Pensacola and New Orleans. So then when the pandemic hit and how Mississippi was handling things, and we decided it would be best for us to move home, to go back to Massachusetts. So when we made the decision, and then I actually moved up here with my son 6 months before my husband got out of the service to look for a job. And I mean, we talk about like August 2020 here, right smack in the middle, like things were still
dead.
closed. It was, yeah. So, but Massachusetts, is not really known for its casino industry.
Nope.
So at the time you had MGM in Springfield, you have the Encore, who had just opened in Boston,
I've
and
yet to go on there, by the way.
and then Plain Ridge. So, and thankfully with my connections, and that's so during the whole pandemic, during that entire year, I was freelancing and doing like some graphic design and building websites and stuff like that for local businesses. Just to because it's and Alex, it's so easy to lose track of marketing because things happen so rapidly all the time. And this was even before the whole AI thing that started last year. So I was doing that, and then I had the time to do my own podcast, and we did so I used to have a podcast back in 2018, and I know how time consuming it is, and so don't even kudos to you. And I was doing it by myself, and then so that was kind of like on hold. And then during the pandemic, I kind of like picked that back up. And I don't know if you guys remember this little thing called Clubhouse that was very popular for a while. So me and my my co-host, we moved the brand over to Clubhouse, and we're doing a Clubhouse podcast where we met and we interviewed people. So due to Clubhouse, I was connecting with my old casino connections that I had from Mississippi. And one of them happened to work with the GM at Plainridge back in the day. So that's how I got back. Because I'm like, I'm done with the casino industry. I don't want to do it anymore. I've done it for so long. I want to do something different, but I don't know what I want to do with my life. I still don't know what I want to do when I'm adult. But then I got a job at Plainridge, and I was working behind the scenes. I was working for corporate. I was doing the email campaigns and direct mail campaigns and all that. So learned a whole lot about that. And I did that for about a year and a half, and I was just ready for a change. Yep. And then I briefly dipped into the cannabis industry for a couple of months. Yeah, it was.
This is some news. Well,
I
also I didn't do any research, so this is all news
to
me.
That's why I met Andrew. That's how
Shout
we met.
And
one of my brief career in the cannabis industry, the best thing that came out of it, all the people that I met there, and that's where I met Nicole. I have so many Nicoles in my life, and she hired me at my previous job, and then she left. She started working at RCL, and then she called me a couple months, and she's like, "You got to meet Mark Mason. You got to meet him.
That man could change your life."
She's like, "You too." And I'm like, "Okay, sure. I'll talk to him. Let's talk some marketing." And so I came over here and we chatted, and we hit it off, and that the rest is history. So Nicole hired me twice within 1 year of having. I'm so thankful for that woman.
Thank you,
Nicole. Yes, thank you. And so now here I am, over a year in RCL.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice. So you started in
June 20, what was last year? 2023? I forgot counting. Everything after
23.
Yes, 23, yes.
Oh, so yeah. Oh, I started in March.
Oh, see, there you go.
So we're like, oh, look at that.
So we've been through a lot with them.
We've been through a lot.
So all the growth, all the stuff that happened, yes.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
So I want to dip into a conversation that's actually talked about a lot here in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of like starting to like pick up is women's in the trades.
Yes.
So you're in the trades right now. Granted, you work behind the scenes, you're not really out in the field, but you're still a woman in the trades.
Yes.
How important is it for women to be in the trades? Is it like would it be hard? It's obviously a little bit harder for them because it's such a male dominated career and job. It's very, a lot of physical too, but also mental. But I feel like you guys also have your plate full with, the behind the scenes dealing with clients, the mental game. It kind of balances itself out. But I feel like for women, and I'm not trying to be like Antje, I'm not trying to be misogynist. I'm not trying to be sexist.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to do anything. Yeah. I just feel that women have it a lot tougher in the trades.
Yep.
So kind of walk me through like, how important it is for women to be in trades nowadays and moving forward for like the next 5-10 years. What do you see different that's going to happen?
That's a great question.
I know. It's a lot on your plate. I'm sorry.
That's that gets me going. I'll tell you that. No, so I think being a 2024, a lot. I'm sure a lot of, and I can only speak for the last year or so, but I think it's also a cultural thing, a societal thing. I can only imagine that just 10, 15 years ago, it was a different. And you also have that different mindset now. Me as an older millennial. I went to college. I got my degree in business and marketing. I work in business and marketing. I do what I actually went to school for. I'm very, very fortunate. I own a house. I have a family. Like, I'm financially stable, all that good stuff. Like, super blessed. Like, can.
You're
And
living
now
the American dream.
yes,
That's
yes,
what it,
with
that's
my
what it
green
is.
card,
Yeah.
you know. But I think now we're going through this whole societal change where the trades are becoming more and more important. You know, what I paid for my bachelor's degree, like it's not even a fraction of, it's a small fraction of what people pay nowadays. So of course you look for different avenues. One of our female comfort advisors, she's in her early 20s, and she is like, when I got out of high school, I thought to myself, how can I make the most money without going to school, because I ain't paying for that. And she got into sales, and she's making good money.
Yeah.
So that's that mind shift that is coming in, that the trades are becoming more popular again, kind of like how it was with the boomer generation.
Yep.
You know, we can joke as much as we want about all these different generations and all, but everybody had their different challenges, and I think now we're at that and I have a teenage son, you know. And so now I'm thinking, what is he gonna do in a couple of years?
Mhm.
You know, because now he's a super smart kid. You know, I can see him going to college and all these things, but he's like, Mama, I don't know if it makes sense. You know, I don't know if I should become, you know, an electrician, or, you know, and, you know, I see the potential
Yeah.
for the trade, and it's important, you know, and there's certainly a shift going on. I see it when we go to the job fairs at the vocational schools.
Like BP.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have more females like now looking into the trade, which is absolutely amazing. You know, we have, and I think social media and all that knowledge, we have that network of you know, that new thing called the interwebs. Talking about all, you know, how to make money and going into the trades instead of going to college. I think that drives all of that.
Because that's
So-
kind of like the route now the younger generation's trying to take is going to trade schools
Yeah.
and then not going into college unless you're like going in for engineering or like a very
Yeah.
like high paying like career.
Yeah.
You can probably like make a decent amount of money on. But nowadays, like kids are like looking into the trades, you know,
Yeah.
even though the trades right now, it's not as, because if you really think about it, because I'll speak from my standpoint on the field, there's a lot of 40, 50-year-olds, a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's like a good percentage, and then they're all going to retire within the next 5
and
to
there's
10
a
years.
huge gap.
There's a
People
huge gap.
I'm turning 40. People between like 40 and 30, like we don't have, look at our staff.
Yeah.
You know, you have the young guys that are in their, you know,
Early
not even
20s,
early
yeah.
20s,
Yep.
just graduated high school, you know, like mid 20s, and then we hardly have anybody that are in their
There's
30s.
no old heads.
And
No.
then you have mid 40s and older
Yep,
again.
I'm 29, about to be 30.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that there is no like, I'm gonna make fun of my brother. I don't really give a fuck. My brother's 40, and like I call him old.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to call you old.
I'm getting there.
I'm calling him old because he's my brother.
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, like I honestly sat down and I really think about it. I'm like, there's not a lot of older like generation guys here.
It wasn't
like,
a thing. It wasn't cool.
No.
You know, like even like, I mean, growing up in Germany, we all went, I had a lot of guys going into tech, like IT jobs. I mean, as a matter of fact, I actually went to school to college to study IT in Germany.
Okay.
So no, but like that was kind of like the thing. That was the early 2000s.
That was like hot because technology was really booming at that time.
I went to college when Wikipedia was in its infancy. Just to give you kind of like, I had a 56K modem at home. That's when I like, you know.
Now you got a tip for Wikipedia to help us out.
I remember. So things have changed so much. And it's, I mean, honestly, now if I was that age, I don't know if I would go back to that. If I would do the same thing I did 20 years ago, you know.
Would you do what would you change? Would you actually go into the trades, or would you do?
No, I don't know. I don't know how I would be nowadays, but I think, I mean, I was always a creative person. You know, I had like this I loved, on one hand, I'm like very data driven. I can get lost in looking at Excel spreadsheets. I know people find that weird, but that's the nerdy side of me. But then on the other hand, I need to be creative. I need to do something.
Yeah.
I am not a very handy person. That's
why you have
That's
your
why I'm
husband.
married. Exactly. So he got his qualities, I got mine.
Exactly.
So I don't know what I would have done.
I think in my second life, I feel like I would have been like a race car driver. But I have a shitty car, so it doesn't work out that way.
I think if things. I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason in your life. If I now looking in retrospect, like looking back, I think one thing I would have not so much changed but added. I would have probably gotten like a communications or like getting into like broadcasting, because that was something when I was at the casino that I really enjoyed was, entertaining people on stage, having the podcast. As a matter of fact, I was actually hosting my prom in high school, but I would, like you don't really think about this when you're that young.
Small stuff.
Yeah, and then you look back at it and I'm like, I guess I always had like a thing for it. Yeah. So
can you share your radio voice for us?
My casino voice?
Yeah.
We were testing earlier. Yeah, you want me to?
Yeah, seriously.
So one of the things when we had a drawing, it was this was kind of like attention on the casino floor, attention on the casino floor. It is now time for our 5 p.m. drawing. We're going to give away $250 in slot dollars, and you have the chance to win $30,000 in cash at our RCL Make Your Moolah giveaway. So
hey, that was a great voice. Yeah. If I heard that in casino, I would have been like,
yes, let's
take my money. Take my money.
I always thought those were automated, but you doing that off the rip, I'm like, wow, that's kind
there's voice actors. You are trained to do that.
Oh, so it's not automated. It's actually an actual person speaking into a microphone.
Yes, that's me.
I thought you guys just had a pre-recording and that was it.
No. I mean, I'm sure there is stuff like that
nowadays because everyone's lazy.
Everybody's
lazy now. And AI, AI is a powerful tool.
No. It is, absolutely.
Going back to that, I just want to hit that just a minute.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that on Mark's episode.
Yes.
AI is such a powerful thing. Mm-hmm. How important is AI in businesses nowadays? Or how does AI kind of help you with your job and with marketing and everything like that?
It is an absolute useful tool. And I think this is something, so I started tinkering around with it. I think when was it? We have 24, right? I think so. Late 22. Yeah, it was like late 22, early 23. Midjourney, and Night Cafe, all of that. I started playing with graphics. So that was before ChatGPT was even
a thing.
Yeah. So I started playing around with AI art, how to prompt and prompting. It's everybody can use AI. Everybody can use. I mean, I see it. You read ChatGPT. Everybody knows how to spell or whatever. Not everybody, but they know how
surprised.
to type. What people think, and they just plug something in ChatGPT. But I think the real magic comes in if you know how to prompt something correctly, so you get out of it what to make it useful. So you can say, hey, give me 10 ideas for a social media post. People literally copy and paste. And so I started hopping on that train really early on. I've been using ChatGPT since it's been over a year and a half now. So really when it was in its infancy. And you learn a lot. You know what works, what doesn't work.
You kind of figure out how to make things sound good when you put it into it.
I use it as a tool. It is not my main. It's like when you're a chef. You have your knives and so I use it as a tool to use for our digital. Like a support. It's a support. It is not my main line. If ChatGPT would shit the bed tomorrow, we'd still be fine.
Yeah. Because you learn the resources, how to
how to write. That's a thing where your creativity comes in. Then you have to think. You have to. But sometimes you just need like a little spark of inspiration. You still need the human element still needs to be there to set yourself apart.
Yep.
So you still need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Well,
because nothing grinds my gears more. I go on. I read emails from other people, and if I read, "Hi Antje, I hope this email finds you well," I'm
You
like, ChatGPT. I'm not kidding. I'm not even like
Yeah.
reading any further.
I do that sometimes.
Yeah,
I do that sometimes.
But so you start, as much as I'm involved with using these tools, I can also like tell you exactly when you used it and when you didn't.
Again, it's that investigator mindset that you got from the casinos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's ingrained in you. Absolutely.
So-
like, that guy didn't pay. Didn't put a whole lot of effort into this. So
Let's see. Worked at casino marketing. Now you market for RCL.
Mm-hmm.
What's been your biggest like accomplishment? Mine. I guess we could say like your biggest accomplishment so far here at RCL.
at RCL.
Yeah, and then if you want, actually, yeah, you can. Your biggest accomplishment in casinos, because you did share the story about like your first car like giveaway,
Yeah.
but it was really disappointing. Was there one that actually like
Very anticlimactic. Yeah.
it was there one that like just made you like like feel so accomplished? You know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, so I started and I told you I was a military spouse. I was stationed overseas. I didn't really start my career until I was in my early 30s. And I think you talked, and a lot of people don't know that. So when you talked to Mark the other day about, you said you were talking about, when I compare myself to you, and that's why I always like it's so important. You cannot. The only person you should compare yourself with is yourself.
Yep.
You can't compare. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Everybody starts in life at a different point. So I got a later start in my career in life because of the military and among other factors. And so when I can't tell you how it felt when I finally got that job. When I found out I'm a part-time coordinator at a casino.
Yeah.
Like that was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
And then I worked my ass off. I felt like I needed to prove something to somebody. So I was promoted to full-time, and within a few months, and then within a year, so I had worked the casino for about a year, the supervisor position became open. I did not feel ready to be a supervisor, I tell you that much. I did not feel ready.
Did you not feel ready because you it was just so much at that time, or was it?
I didn't know if I was ready for it.
Yeah.
They say when it feels uncomfortable, that's when you grow.
Gotcha.
And it was kind of like, and then again, it was under Nicole's encouragement, saying, she's like, apply for it and see what happens. And I prepared myself. I had a job interview, just like other candidates, and with my boss, and I was dressed to the T, and I had my things down, and I had my what do I want to do when I'm managing and all that. And then the day I found out that I got the job, I think to this day was one of my most favorite promotions. Probably I felt like that was like that hurdle I had to overcome, where I felt like, oh my God, I felt like $1 million. I'm allowed to park in the parking garage.
That's a huge
thing. I don't have to walk across the street from the team member parking lot. I'm salary. I was like, oh my God. So looking back at that, I think to this, and now, and then my next step was I wanted to become a marketing manager.
Yep.
That was my next step. And fun fact, actually, when I had the interview with Mark, like Mark was looking to hire a marketing manager.
Yep.
So for me, this seemed like unreachable, because with COVID and the setback I had in my career, I felt like when I started at Plainridge, I did like 3 steps back. Because I wasn't a manager, I started as a campaign admin, and then they promoted me there to senior campaign admin because I was overqualified for when I started, So when Nicole called me, she said to me, are you ready? Are you sitting down? And I'm like, no. She's like, sit down for a second. So I sat down and she's like, are you ready for me to change your life?
Ooh.
And I'm like, sure.
Yeah, she just won $1 million.
Oh, yeah, that's how I felt. And she's like, well, Mark wants to offer you the position of director of marketing and sales. If I tell you I almost fell off my chair, like I literally almost fell off my chair.
That was such a like.
I was like, this is absolutely insane. You know how you manifest something and you're like, oh, I want to become a marketing manager. And then they hand you like, you're not become this, but we'll give you this. So I felt like that title alone that has been to this day probably one of my biggest accomplishments in my career.
That's
and
goosebumps.
I know it's like,
Goosebumps.
and like I have grown into this role. When I first started, I said, Mark, I feel like you gave me a pair of pants that are 3 sizes too tall, you know? And now I feel like the pants starting to fit.
They're starting to fit a little bit, you know?
And so I have learned so much. Like this is something where I'm just so thankful for Mark. How he, you know, he's very fast and he there's a lot going on. And I always say, not everybody, it takes a certain person to work at RCL. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. We're all very high driven A players.
Yep.
And it takes somebody like that. You need to be able to keep up. And you know, there are days sometimes where I just like knock my head against the wall. But in the end, with his driving me to get out of my comfort zone and you know, and getting frustrated. And sometimes you just want to throw stuff against the wall. But it's all that growth, that uncomfortable growth. And I have learned so incredibly much where I'm like looking back now where I'm like, gosh darn it.
Yeah.
Jesus. Look at what we accomplished this
Yeah.
year. You know?
It's crazy how like 1 year can really like change.
Oh
like,
my
a person,
God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he created a monster. I think. He did. He absolutely did. We always laugh about that. He's like, oh, I don't know if this was a good thing. I was like, I don't know. I'm like,
I think it was probably the best thing Mark probably did. It's okay to create a monster because it's actually a good monster.
Yeah, it is. It is an absolute, you know, like we have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's the key thing.
And becoming more and more dialed in now and the experience, literally the shit we've been through as a company itself. Yep. And all the lessons we've learned. So I'm just excited this is a company now where I can see myself, you know, when somebody said like, where can you see yourself in 5 years?
Yep.
Like I can picture this, what we can do with RCL, you know? And I know I have the right person above me or aside of me who will help me to get there. So, because it takes somebody like a Mark Mason to deal with me, to be honest with you. You know? So I appreciate that about him.
Shout out to Mark Mason, by the way.
Absolutely. And I'm not just saying that, you know, because he's my boss, but I genuinely mean that.
Yeah.
So
I remember the first time I ever spoke to Mark Mason. I recently was laid off from my job, and I gave RCL a call, and I said, hey, I saw the company was hiring, you know, I would love to, you know, apply. And you get that feeling of over the phone, like how a person is, at least for me, like, you know, hearing the voice. And I just, right off the rip, I knew Mark was such a good guy. You know what I mean?
He is. He genuinely cares.
He really cares. Like,
and Rich too. Oh my God.
Yeah,
like both of them.
Huge, because they actually care about it.
Yeah.
And I've never been in a company, like my previous companies before this, they didn't give a fuck about us.
And that's the difference. So that was a very humbling experience, actually, for me, coming from Fortune 500 companies, you know, like Boyd and Penn Gaming, to all of a sudden you're working for a startup company, you know, who is in its infancy. And I am used to, especially at the casino, I had an IT department. I wasn't even allowed to move my phone cable from one end to the other.
You had to call somebody else.
I had to call somebody, you know, so you're kind of like spoiled in a certain way. I had data analysts who were specifically there to look at our email marketing data, you know, at open rates and all that stuff. Now I do everything, you know, I do email marketing, I do social media, I do direct mail, I go out and shoot, I look at the data, I prefer for meetings, you know, like the CEO is I report to the CEO.
Yep.
My team consists of third-party vendors, I'm used to having a team minimum of 7. At my last job, I actually had a team of 9 people under me that I was managing. So I don't have any direct reports right now. So it's, that was a thing to learn of like, oh, I have to do everything myself.
Yeah.
Not that I can't do it, but it's if you're in a managing position for years and so you need that humbling mind shift of like, okay, you got to do the dirty work again, which was amazing because I have learned, and now I know how to do things. So so that's or different, like the service industry is different than the hospitality industry, like different programs, different things that I use, but I can use the knowledge I gain in the other industries and bring it in here with RCL.
Do you think like bigger companies are too bloated in that way? Because you said like here it's kind of more of a startup and you're doing a lot of things yourself. You can obviously move faster and do the things quicker yourself. Do you think bigger companies like Fortune 500 land, is that something they get wrong, having too many people doing too many things, or
it loses that it's almost like a factory, like you have to stay within your lane and I feel like it depends on your character and what you're looking out of for a career. Like, honestly, I don't know if I could go back to a Fortune 500 company because here some people don't want to pivot. Some people want to stay in their lane. Some people want to, they want to work from home. They don't want to go in the office. I am not a work from home person. I want to be in the office. I need that. My time to decompress is that 25-minute ride, home to kind of like collect your thoughts. And I love hanging out with my peoples. For me, culture is a huge aspect. And I actually had a more heated conversation with my best friend over the weekend about this, where she is, she's a work from home person. She works for a big IT company in Boston. Everything is like regimented. They do their job and that's it. And I'm like, here, I was talking about the culture. She's like, culture is overrated. And I'm like, not for me. Like, for me, this is important.
Yeah.
I want people to want coming to work. I want to see happy faces. That's when I walk in here in the morning. I'm like, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Monday. Blah, 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 But genuinely, I love nothing more than spoiling my people, like bringing them a donut or bringing them coffee or making sure, they're taken care of. I want you to come to work. I want you to be happy. So, because that makes my job easier.
I'm gonna tell you one thing right now. Come to my job site and bring donuts because
I will absolutely.
I love donuts. Ask Matt Ryan, ask Rich, ask Jaden, ask anybody in this whole entire company. I'm the donut guy. That's it.
I love it. Like when, for example, and then also like me being able to help you guys. I was on a job site with our plumbers.
Hi, Matt.
And they needed to do a supply run. So I'm like, is this something I can take care of? They're like, you will go to supply house for us? Absolutely. You just let me know what you need and I make it happen.
Yeah.
They gave me a list. I went down to the supply house. I said, this was my first time. I didn't know what I was doing. So I waddled myself in there and I always be upfront. I'm like, hey, just letting you know, my first time, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a director. I'm a pencil pusher. I need to, it was like copper rings or something like that.
Yeah.
And I showed him a picture and he's like, yep, no problem. Very, so I took care of it and I went back and they were so thankful. They're like, this would have taken an hour and a half out of our time. We had to stop. You know how it is. You have to stop working. You have to drive over there in your van and then you have to come back. You have to restart. So they were able to continue to work and that made, because I invade your space when I come with my camera and shove, a microphone in your face and make boomerangs I can put on Instagram to entertain people. I mean, that's
at the end of the day,
that's But then I'm like, I feel like that's my way of giving back. Like me as as the marketing person, whether or not you report to me or not, but if I can make your day a little better, it benefits us both.
Hell yeah. That's the type of people we have here in this office too, where
absolutely.
they'll go out at their way to like make sure like the on-field guys are taken care of, Shout out to Jane Lee, she always takes care of the guys out there on the commercial side.
Absolutely.
Man. It's so nice to like finally speak to somebody because you're technically like the first office like person too. Because Matt Ryan, he's an office guy, but
he was in the field.
He was
he
in the
does on
field,
both,
so he kind of. So it's really nice to get a different point of view from somebody that works, solely behind the scenes.
And it's crazy. And one thing that Matt said, and the thing is, that disconnect of, we don't know what you guys do in the field, and you guys don't know what we do in the office. We have margarita and taco Fridays, and we'll just twiddle our
what?
No, I'm saying that's what you guys think. That's what we do. We twiddle our thumbs and like play with the maracas or whatever. I don't know, play music and not do anything. And this is something that Matt Ryan said. He's like, when I got into my position, and I was started working in the office and seeing how hard everybody works behind the desk, to make sure that you guys are taken care of, that you guys have your supplies, that everything is in order, and I think that's also one of the biggest challenges in our industry, is that disconnect between office and the field. And that's why I make it, a point of going out, spending time with the guys, building that relationship, showing our customers behind the scenes, what do we do? What does it mean what is the difference between a heat pump and a mini split? What is a condenser? Why do we need to set certain things a certain way? And and also how long things take. And I think it's a two-way street, and Alex, you can probably talk to this. Like, everybody thinks it's so easy. Everybody can do marketing, and it's so quick, so easy. We can just whip it out.
Nope, I can't do it.
So it takes time. And creativity. Creativity is not something that you can do by pushing a button. So sometimes you need to let your brain think, like literally, stare against the wall and just think. So, I don't know if that answered your question. Okay. I went on a
no. I love it. Like when people just like kind of go on rants, because like you want to hear like the stories, you want to hear like the lifestyle and cultures and everything like that. So it's honestly good that you're ranting, because it's a good rant. It's a good because what's the sort of like piece of advice that you can give to not only just like, I guess, people like, I'm not trying to be a misogynist, not trying to be sexist, but what kind of advice can you give to the younger generation of either the younger generation in general, and then like obviously females that they believe that stigma of like the male dominance of like trades, they feel like they don't fit into it. Like, what kind of advice can you give them? Like, what I mean?
I think it's very simple, and it's probably just too simple, but just do it. It's just
like the Nike golf shirt.
For real, like, here's the thing. Nobody is taking care of you unless it's you. It's your responsibility, and this is something I am teaching my son. You are responsible for your own actions. It doesn't matter where you're from. Look at Mark and Rich. They're the prime example. Both of them, they didn't have much growing up. They started at zero, and look where they are right now. Kind of like, I grew up, I didn't have a rich family. I grew up with a single mom, and you have to work hard. And the only way you're growing is when it feels uncomfortable, then you're growing. I am fortunate. I have a strong character. I know that. I portray. Sometimes I'm perceived as intimidated. I'm the nicest person in the world, but I will rip you a new one if I have to. You know what I mean? I don't like that person, but that's something that my mother instilled in me, that she said, you need to make sure that you are capable of handling yourself in life, no matter what happens. And I saw she was, a single mom. She had to, work with, take care of me and my sister. So I always had that in my life. Even my grandmother and my great grandmother, they were, it's like a generational thing. Like not to steer off too far, but my great grandmother, she was born in 1920. She lived through World War II in Germany, and my biological great grandfather got shot in Russia. So she was a single mom. She had two young daughters, my grandmother and my great aunt, and she had to fight back. She was against Nazis, and so when my great grandfather died, they got, back then, if you're a fallen soldier, the family got the Iron Cross, kind of like a Purple Heart award, and then you got a edition of the Mein Kampf, of Hitler's novel that he wrote.
Yeah.
So my grandmother went ahead, got the package, wrote a very nice letter back, put everything back, and sent it back to the government, or if you want to call it a government back then.
Yeah.
She had to. They were fleeing for years.
That's crazy.
So it's almost like that's the type of stuff my great grandmother had to deal with.
Yeah.
And now, I mean,
I mean, we don't have to deal with Nazis anymore, We don't have to deal with Nazis anymore.
Knock on wood. But this is the type of this is kind of like the family. Those are I've always had strong women in my life.
Yep.
I had those people to look. I don't know any different. So, and I don't have a daughter. I have a son. So all I can show him is like, hey,
like,
just do it.
If you work hard in life, you'll get the things that you want to get.
And even something you had mentioned earlier is the idea of like finding a mentor. It's like everyone needs one, you know, is sort of the advice or a piece of it to kind of find maybe another woman or someone in the trades that you can kind of lean on.
And sometimes it's not just like, hey, you want to be my mentor? It's, that's not how it always works. You have to I guess you have to stay open-minded, surround yourself with the people that will bring you forward in life. Like I always tell people, look at your friends. Look at who are you friends with. That tells you a lot about yourself. So just put yourself out there. You need to step out of your comfort zone. Otherwise, you're not. And you need to have that drive. Nobody else is. It sounds very blunt and it sounds boring, but you got to do it yourself.
Sometimes you got to be blunt.
You have to be blunt. You have to put yourself out there.
Also, side note, there's actually some girls in the trades out there on the field, and they're like 10 times better than some of the guys.
Oh,
so,
because we always my mom always said, she's like, you as a woman, you have to work 10 times harder than a man. I'm just take the statement for what it is. Yeah. But whether it's true or not, depend on who you ask. But I think that's also something, again, that we tend to think that we need to prove something.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think this was one of my biggest mind changes in my 30s of I don't have to prove myself. I know who I am. I know my value. I know how much I'm worth. But that is something that's a mind thing.
A mindset. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to swear. I fucking love this. It's been such a great episode.
Well, thank you.
Oh, man. Any final words that you would like to say? Anything we didn't touch on, maybe? Maybe a question for us?
Let's talk about you guys. You want me to interview you? One of the and I listened to all the episodes.
Thank you for being one of our top fans, by the way.
Because
we really appreciate you.
Want to make sure I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah,
but I also want to be
you definitely did your research, unlike me.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta do it, right? Who was like your favorite? I know you only have a few episodes, but who was like your favorite guest? That you could...
In terms of like the person itself, or in terms of person itself.
Yeah.
Just ask who's your favorite guest, not who's your favorite guest location.
I will take a note out of Tiago's book where it's like our favorite podcast is always the next podcast, and that's kind of what I've sort of held true. Yeah. It's like we did Matt Ryan. I'm like, how could it get better than this? Then you do Mark Mason, and then you do the next person. You're like, wow, these people just. I don't know if our skills are getting better as we do this, and sort of the questions and the conversations are a little bit better. But it's almost like every next episode is the best episode. Like the one we did with Rich literally yesterday was my favorite, but now sitting down with you, I'm like, this is incredible. It's just a completely different perspective. And so it's like, for me, it's kind of a cop-out answer, but it's almost always the next one. So,
no, I love that.
So right now it's you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry.
Don't tell Rich.
Hey, if Rich is an avid listener, he'd probably hear about this. But that's my thing. I said it earlier on in the podcast before, like in our internal, I said, Zach Pep was my favorite episode because of the chemistry we have.
Mhm.
But when I really like think about it, like deep thought, and like I really think about it, I'm like, dude, it's always the next one because you
Mhm.
don't know who the hell you're gonna meet
Yeah, you
next.
don't.
You don't know
Yeah.
about the connections you're gonna make. You don't know
Mhm.
what doors. Like it's all I always, and also it's kind of like a driving factor. Like I
Mhm.
want to be like the next person I want it better than the last. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's always gonna be my favorite guest is always the next one.
Yeah, you always said. So I always said the favorite people are the ones I haven't met yet because you don't know, and that's exciting.
That's very
You know,
exciting.
like, and I think that's why I love connecting people. It's one of my favorite things to do, to like see when certain people out of different parts of my life
Yep.
come to, like when I was able
When
to
you introduced
introduce
me
me
and
and
Andrew.
Andrew, you know,
I
like
got
now
so
you're wearing the CB disco hat, you know.
Thanks,
Andrew
Andrew.
has become one of my favorite people that I got to know over the last 2 years,
Such a good
and
guy.
so now that I see how each of our businesses, you know, grow together, you know, we support each other. That's what it's all about. It's about networking and community and getting to know the right people.
Hell yeah.
So
Big shout out to CB Disco and
Oh,
Andrew.
absolutely.
I love that guy. It was a great. It was great. He was a great guest. He was a great guest.
you haven't met his wife yet.
No,
think
but
Andrew
he
is great.
has.
You have to meet Meg.
He's told. I think he told like a story about it, and I'm like, she seems very interesting. I would love
She
to have
is.
her on a podcast.
She is. Yeah, you should. Like Meg is. You know, when people just come into a room and they just like
the
light
aura,
up the room.
right? The aura.
The aura is. So she's a Reiki instructor. She's a yoga instructor here in
Oh, okay.
Taunton. She teaches at Open Doors. She's a wellness influencer on Instagram and on TikTok. She has like thousands of followers, but she has that personality, and I just love people like her. Like she is just such a ray of sunshine. She just makes my, you know, when you open up your Instagram and I see her, she instantly makes my day better.
Mm.
So, and they just together, they
They mesh
perfectly,
well.
absolutely. So, that's what I love that, you know, like I
Yeah.
love meeting new people, and
That's kind of like what, like obviously me and
Yeah.
Alex aren't married.
Not yet.
well, I thought you were brothers. to be
No,
honest.
so that's
'Cause I
actually-
always told. I was like, "Hey, your brother." He's like, "He's actually not my brother." I'm like, "You sure about that?"
Yeah. So we have it's crazy because we have the same last name,
Yes.
but we have no family connection whatsoever. We went to high school together, and we sat on the same bus, and
Same middle school too, right? Did you go to Henry Lord?
I did, but I don't think I ever met you there.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
Is it a common last name?
In the Portuguese community, yes.
Okay.
Just like Souza and like Amal and all that stuff. But I think we really became best friends after high school because we both had that mindset of like we want to do something,
Mm-hmm.
we want to change like how we view life,
Mm-hmm.
and so like for example, we coached soccer together because both of our passions was
Nice.
soccer.
Oh, I love. I mean, come on, you know, it's in my DNA.
Part
I
two.
can't help it. Oh, yeah.
Part two.
If you want to take football,
Yeah.
I'm like,
But we coach. He called me one day. He's like, "Do you want to coach soccer?" It was just random too. He's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" I'm like, "I'm working." I was working at my job at the time, and this was a couple years back. He's like, "Do you want to coach soccer?" I'm like, "I've never done that before.
mm-hmm.
Let's do it." So
Awesome.
So I'm like, because we kind of dove in head first, and we were like, we hope for the best.
Yeah.
And honestly, that might have been one of my, minus the podcast, I think that might have been one of my best experiences.
Nice.
Playing the sport that I love with one of my best friends,
Yeah.
and just teaching young kids. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
giving
Giving
paying
back.
forward,
Yep,
giving
paying
back,
forward.
absolutely.
So I think that was definitely like the start of building what I want to call now is like the lifestyle that we want to live. You know,
Mhm.
where the lifestyle is either entertaining people or just shooting the shit together, like
Mhm.
coming up with ideas and everything like that. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, because I think a big thing of what we're doing, we're coaching, is educating. So I
Yes.
think a large part of the podcast is, we obviously want to be entertaining but
Mhm.
also informative and
Yeah.
educational too. So it's like that was definitely tied in there too. So, but I also knew when I asked Tiago, it's like he might not have the actual knowledge of the game as
Yeah.
in depthly as someone might need, but the guy's passionate. He cares about
Yeah.
stuff. It comes through with the podcast, and I'm sure in the office everyone loves the guy too. So.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a ball of energy, whether it's good energy or bad energy. I'm just energy at this
But
point.
you bring that to the field, and I'm sure you encourage, your
I
people love
push
being
some
around
people.
you.
I push some people. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you have
I'm like,
to. I call it being Mama Bear.
Yeah, yeah.
They know sometimes, Mama Bear has to take out our claws and put the chickens back in the in the coop. But I love them. I absolutely
That's
love
exactly
them.
what it is. Because like if somebody like half-ass something, I'll tell them like blunt, straight up, like this looks like dog shit. Like but I say it in the nicest way because I know they could do better.
Yes.
So that's it.
It's
That's
because
how
you care.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I care too much, but it's all good.
It's all good. Absolutely. Oh, I have like so many questions for you now. Okay, so if you had a magic wand, and this is actually a 2-part answer. So one is realistically, that's the first part. Realistically, who would you love to have on your podcast that could realistically be a guest? And then if you could, any person you know, whether they're dead or if they're fictional or whatever, if you could like say, hey, I want this person, or I want to, interview that person or that figure or whoever.
Tough ask. Go ahead, you can go first.
Fictional, I'll go straight David Goggins. He has nothing to do with the trades at all. But like a lot of these episodes, we've talked to people, especially Mark and Rich and those sorts of guys and yourself today. And you guys talk about mindset and shifting your mindset and how important that is to just essentially living a good life. Man, I don't know anyone that I've ever listened to or heard their books or their stories or their podcasts that has just a stronger, unbreakable mindset. And I would love to just be in the same room as that guy just to kind of feel that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know he has nothing to do with the trades at all, but I think it'd be pretty badass to have him on, you know?
I think if we had David Goggins on, he would probably be like, turn the room up to 100 degrees. And we're going to run as we do the podcast. We're going to run 100 miles. I swear to God, and I love David Goggins because you kind of need that guy sometimes to like push you. And, he pretty much pushes the whole entire male audience to be better. He would definitely like push me to my limits. And that's actually what I need sometimes. He would probably push me to the brink. And I'm like, oh, but David Goggins is a good answer.
Yeah.
That's fictional. Realistically,
Well, what'd you say yesterday?
Dirt X was my dream podcast guest. The Dirt X Boys with Rich and Brendan Walsh.
Yes.
And I was...
But them together, because it's so... Right? Them together as a team?
Yeah.
Or
No, them together as a team. I
Rich.
love... Because I watch their videos on YouTube and... I just love the content that they're giving, and they actually told a story yesterday. I'm not going to spoil it. You guys can listen to the story on their episode. But it was so moving, and I'm like, these are just local guys. They're good guys, local guys.
Yes.
We say that a lot in the trades. We say that a lot in the field, too.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a good guy, local guy. Because they are. Like, if you really think... They're like taunting legends. Let's be real.
Yes. Oh, I love... Like, when we do our extreme ownership, so I don't know if you know, but we do a leadership class that Rich holds. When he starts talking, I could just listen to him for hours.
That's how Alex felt yesterday. Yeah, that's exactly how Alex felt
and I
yesterday.
love nothing more when he gets excited and he starts smiling and like the happy Rich comes out. Oh, I'm just like, yes.
It's funny. We were sitting there yesterday in the podcast and he starts talking. I forget that we're interviewing him.
Yes.
And I'm just like listening like I'm a member in the audience. And then Thiago goes to like hand me the microphone. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be talking.
It was funny because they were just like bouncing off back and forth, Rich and Brendan, and like the stories they were telling, the advice that they were giving. I felt like I was on their podcast.
Yes.
It was such a great time like with those guys. So kudos to those guys. Fictional, I don't know, man. Phew, that's tough. I would definitely want like Joe Rogan to be on here one day. I think Joe Rogan's knowledge just in podcasting, and then like Joe Rogan's
he's a super smart guy.
It's crazy because not a lot of people would think Joe Rogan's a super smart guy. It's all that what does he use? The Alpha Brain. Shout no product placement there, but he's probably all that Alpha Brain he just takes. But he's such a smart guy. And then like the people he brings on, but the questions he asks those people. Elon Musk is actually another great episode I would love. Nothing to do with the trades, just Elon Musk.
No, but just talking to...
Yeah.
There's not... I love listening to smart people. I really do. Like
that's why I listen to Alex all day.
Yeah. Well, it could be, somebody that you know or, somebody that you don't know. Like, and then I follow all the, like Gary V,
Love Gary V.
Oh my God. Like I could listen to him for hours. I just love how he's just like, he just does like his thing. And or Simon Sinek. Like, great leadership advice, and there's so many others out there. But yeah, I think that's important, to put yourself, listen to people that are smarter than you. And to have that humble ability to know, that you're not the smartest person in the room.
And that's one of the greatest things about having this podcast and getting to meet all of you guys is just like you get to listen to people who are smarter than you in their given domain, but also it spreads out. You know what I mean? Like you're exceptional at marketing, but then when you talk about other things as well, that intelligence sort of spreads there. And it's kind of amazing to sort of see and listen to that. And it's almost like we're getting like an MBA or a PhD or something with this podcast, just sitting here listening to people. You know what I mean?
I'm getting a GED.
GED talking.
Oh man, this has been fun.
I know. I have
we gotta have a part 2.
I know. I think we do because I have like
a lot of people have been asking
questions.
for part 2s nowadays. Like Dirt X part 2. Matt Ryan's keeps on bugging me for a part 2.
Oh yeah, he's like, I want to redo mine.
Yeah, because he had the first version, so like no lights, no cameras, no microphones. Obviously, we had a camera.
And Matt Ryan is another one of those smart people.
Yeah,
like when
he's super smart.
When he starts talking, like he got the best stories. You would think Matt Ryan is 60 years old just because of the amount of stories this guy can talk about. Like they are hilarious, and he's just a character itself.
He's a jolly green giant. That's all it is.
He is. I know. I was like, are you sure you're only in like that age that you are? Because I think you're like
probably an old soul, young body.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Oh man, this episode is gonna be great. I always tell you, it's always the next one. Yeah, this has been too legit, guys, and
thank you people for listening. This is Alex and Tiago with the Too Legit podcast. It was a pleasure talking to you guys today.
Mic drop. Thanks guys for watching. See you later.
Auf Wiedersehen.